Hebrews, Hebrews, Hebrews. This is Prophets of Awakening. It's all reading through Tanak night, the 19th of March 2025. Okay, we'll be reading out of the book of Genesis, chapter 6 through 10. Okay, you can go to our YouTube channel, The Prophets of Awakening, check out our videos. We have over 1,000 or so videos that you can look at and examine. Get the meat out, and if you like what you're hearing and receiving, I'm asking you to like, share, and subscribe to the channel. It would be greatly appreciated. Okay. And for those that don't know, this is a non-Messianic channel. We deal with the Tanakh and the Torah. Tanakh being the Old Testament, so-called Book of Remembrance, and Torah is the first 5 books of the Old Testament that was given to Moses by our Redeemer and our Savior, the Lord of Hosts. Shalom and welcome to the channel, and welcome to our welcome to our reading through the Tanakh night. Okay, we're going to do our normal, which is a moment of silence, prayer, Psalms. Then we'll open it up for some. Let me see. We have current events, need to know information. Then we open it up for the Q&A, and then we go into our topic, which is Genesis chapter 6 through 10. We'll read the chapter, then break down the content. Okay, and we'll pick a scripture at the end and break it down, and then we'll close out. Okay. So somebody want to pick a scripture? Okay. That being said,
Shalom, Brother Leonard. Shalom, sir. Sorry.
Go ahead.
I was going to say I'll pick a scripture, sir.
Okay. All right.
Yes, sir.
Okay. This moment of silence is for the Lord of Hosts and all that He's doing to bring about our prophesied deliverance in these last days. Okay. Oh Lord, we come before Thee, thanking You for Your mercy and Your great power. Oh Lord, we see Your mighty hand in the world affairs and how You are constructing Your people's deliverance, and we trust and rely upon Thee. And for this cause, we honor and respect You greatly. Turn not Thy face from us, but allow us, in our searching of You, to find You in these last days and to dwell with You. Peace be unto You. Okay. So with that being said, I'm gonna read the Psalms. Okay. I'll read Psalm 77. Is who is so great a God as our God. It's a psalm of Asaph. I cried unto God with my voice, even unto God with my voice, and He gave ear unto me. In the day of my trouble, I sought the Lord. My soul ran in the night. I ceased not. My soul refused to be comforted. I remembered God, and I was troubled, and I complained, and my spirit was overwhelmed. Selah, thou holdest mine eyes waking. I am so troubled that I cannot speak. I have considered the days of old, the years of ancient times. I call to remembrance my song in the night, and I commune with my own heart, and my spirit made diligent search. Will the Lord cast off forever, and will He be favorable no more? In His mercy, clean gone is His mercy clean gone forever? Doeth His promise fail forevermore? Have God forgotten to be gracious? Have He in His anger shut up His tender mercy? Selah. And I said, this is my infirmity, but I will remember the years of the right hand of the Most High, and I will remember the works of the Lord. Surely I will remember thy wonders of old, and I will meditate also of all thy works, and talk of thy doings. Thy way, O God, is in the sanctuary. Who is so great a God as our God? Thou art God that doeth wonders. Thou hast declared thy strength among the people. Thou hast with thy arm redeemed thy people. The sons of Jacob and Joseph, Selah. The waters saw thee, O God, and the waters saw thee, and they were afraid. The depths also were troubled. I cried, the clouds poured out water, the skies sent out a sound, and arrows also went abroad. The voice of thy thunder was in the heavens. The lightning lightened the world. The earth trembled and shook. Thy way is in the sea, and thy path in the great waters, and thy footsteps are not known. Thou lettest thy people like flock by the hand of Moses and Aaron. Okay, so that was Psalm 77. And you see right here that I want to shine a light on yeah, go up to 7. Will the Lord cast off forever, and will he be faithful no more? Is his mercy clean gone from forever? Do his promises fail forevermore? Have God forgotten to be gracious? Have he in his anger shut up his tender mercy? And I said, this is my infirmity, but I will remember the years of the right hand of the Most High, right? So it says, verse 10, I said, this is my infirmity, but I will remember the right hand of the Lord, right? So it says that Jason was on the right hand of the Father in the very beginning. So verse 11 tell you, give you the answer, right? I will remember the works of the Lord. Surely I will remember thy wonders of old. So he's telling you right here in these two verses, the Lord of hosts is on the right hand. The right hand of the Lord is Michael. He says, I said, verse 10, Psalm 17, I said, this is my infirmity, but I will remember the years of the right hand of the Most High. 11, I will remember the works of the Lord. That's both of them. Surely I will remember thy wonders of old. Okay. So that was Psalm 77. Anybody have any comments on it? Okay. We go to our we go to our current events, and then we'll break them down.
Imagine waking up one day to a world where the US dollar is no longer the backbone of global trade, where the financial empire built on the greenback starts to weaken, not because of war, not because of politics, but because of technology. Technology is so disruptive, so unshackled from centralized control, that it could rewrite the rules of the global financial. This isn't fiction. This isn't a conspiracy. This is what BRICS is working on right now. And their tool of choice? Blockchain. For years, the BRICS Alliance has been quietly laying the groundwork for financial independence. But now, their mission has entered a new phase. A phase where transactions are seamless, sanctions lose their grip, and trade happens on a system that the United States cannot control. And it all starts with a single decision. A decision that could change the balance of power forever. But why now? What triggered this bold step toward a new financial order? Let's find out. We all know that for decades, the US dollar hasn't just been a currency, it has been a weapon, a tool of dominance, influence, and control. The world's reserve currency, the backbone of international trade, is the primary means by which nations settle their debts. But for BRICS, that dollar has become a chain. And now they are determined to break free. The alliance has always understood the risks of relying on a currency controlled by a foreign power. The United States holds a unique advantage. It can print money without consequence. It can impose sanctions at will, and it can dictate the financial rules that the rest of the world must follow. Did you know that you can have permanent teeth in just 24 hours? That's right. And every time a country defies Washington, it faces the same punishment: economic restrictions that can cripple entire industries overnight. This is not speculation. It has happened time and time again. Russia was cut off from SWIFT, the global messaging system that facilitates financial transactions. Iran was blocked from the dollar-based trade network, making it nearly impossible for the country to conduct business on the international stage. Even China, despite its economic might, has felt the heat from US financial pressure. But now, BRICS is saying, enough. The return of Donald Trump has only accelerated the urgency of their mission. His threats of 150% tariffs against the bloc were not just about trade. They were a direct warning to any country trying to challenge the dominance of the US financial system. His stance is clear. The US dollar must remain king, and any attempt to dethrone it will be met with retaliation. But the reality is, the cracks are already forming. De-dollarization is not just an idea. It is a movement, and BRICS is at the forefront. They have already begun conducting trade in their currencies. Russia and China have developed new financial rails to bypass Western-controlled systems. India is strengthening its rupee-based trade networks. Brazil and South Africa are exploring new settlement mechanisms that don't rely on US financial institutions. Yet the missing piece has always been a unified, seamless system that could replace the dollar across all BRICS nations. Something powerful enough to facilitate billions in trade without touching the American-controlled banking system. And now, for the first time, they might have found it. Blockchain, a decentralized, unbreakable, and borderless system that no government can manipulate. A system that eliminates intermediaries, reduces costs, and enables instant transactions across continents. And with the 2025 BRICS summit approaching, the alliance is preparing to unveil a proposal that could be the first step toward making this system a reality. But how exactly does BRICS plan to integrate blockchain into its financial architecture? For those unfamiliar, blockchain isn't just about cryptocurrencies. It's about infrastructure. It's a system that allows secure, tamper-proof transactions without a central authority. Instead of relying on the Western-controlled banking system, BRICS could build a decentralized financial network where every transaction is recorded transparently and immutably, making it impossible to manipulate. This isn't just theory. The world has already seen hints of what's possible. China, for instance, has made significant advancements with its digital yuan, which is backed by blockchain technology. Russia has explored blockchain-powered trade settlement mechanisms to bypass SWIFT. Even India has taken steps toward digitizing financial transactions through blockchain-based systems. But what BRICS is proposing now is something far bigger. One of the most groundbreaking features of this system is the use of smart contracts, self-executing agreements that trigger automatically when predetermined conditions are met. In practical terms, this means that if a South African company purchases goods from Brazil, the payment is automatically released upon confirmed delivery. No need for banks to approve it, and no delays caused by bureaucratic red tape. Everything is coded into the system, removing the possibility of corruption or manipulation. Another key element is fraud prevention. The BRICS blockchain system is completely transparent, meaning that every transaction is permanently recorded and cannot be altered. Unlike traditional banking, where financial misconduct can be hidden or covered up, blockchain exposes everything. This ensures that no party can alter financial records, forge transactions, or exploit loopholes, making it one of the most secure financial systems ever designed. But even with these technological advantages, one major challenge remains: currency stability. The global financial system is volatile, and exchange rates between BRICS nations fluctuate constantly. To solve this, BRICS is implementing real-time exchange rate adjustments that allow currencies to be settled at their most accurate value at the moment of the transaction. This prevents the kind of artificial currency manipulation that the US has used for decades to protect the dollar's dominance. With this system in place, BRICS is building something far bigger than an alternative to SWIFT. They're creating a parallel financial infrastructure that the United States cannot control.
Okay. Any comments on that?
It's Shalom, that's amazing. I think that along with the news that came out today that uh China and Mexico have been building a canal through Mexico to bypass America. The UAE is working out a deal, a trade deal with China and not China, Mexico and Canada. I mean, the writing is on the wall and it's
Exactly.
accelerating every day.
Exactly. And he the cause of it. He speeded everything up, like the video said. Because of him, they speeding everything up. And it's more urgent. Okay. Anybody else? Okay.
Official, segregation is now back on the table for the American government, and we have Donald Trump to thank for it. You heard me right. Thanks to Donald Trump, segregation is now no longer banned in the federal government. More specifically, government contractors are no longer banned from having segregated restaurants, waiting rooms, and drinking fountains. Yeah, thanks to Donald Trump, now government contractors can have shit like this again. And what was Donald Trump's logic behind this asinine decision? Well, he's tackling DEI, of course. Donald Trump is bringing back segregation in order to supposedly combat DEI. I wish I was making this shit up. I wish I was making up all of the insane shit that Donald Trump says and does. But unfortunately, this is just our fucked up reality now. And until somebody does something about Donald Trump, I'm afraid there won't be an end to the madness anytime soon.
So Donald Trump just brought back segregation. Yes, I'm saying that. He just brought back segregation. Segregation on bathrooms, on restaurants, on who to hire. That is part of removing DEI. Okay? Let's do it. Bring back segregation. I want to know where the fuck I'm not welcome. I want to know where my money does not deserve to be put at. Because let's make this very fucking clear. Black people in America are the buying power. Y'all forget, we buy more than anybody else. I don't know why we do that shit, but we do. So let us know where the fuck we aren't welcome. Bring back segregation. I guarantee y'all gonna fuck up all y'all money. Because white folks don't shop like that. And when they do, they don't spend in middle class areas. It's the rich shit like Gucci and Prada. Not everyday hometowns. Go ahead and fuck yourselves up. Bring segregation back. Yup. Bring it on back. Let's see how this shit rise. You see what's going on with Target.
Well, MAGA, you got everything you wanted, right? You finally won the war on woke. Trans people can't play sports anymore. The government will only recognize two genders now, male and female. The federal employees can't put their pronouns in their email signature anymore. DEI is all but dead. Those elitist, woke, liberal universities are losing all of their federal grants and contracts. Elon Musk is taking his chainsaw to the government and firing half of the federal workforce. Donald Trump is going to bulldoze Gaza and turn it into a beachfront golf resort. People lost their student loan forgiveness. You finally got all those tariffs and the tit-for-tat trade war with our closest allies that you wanted so damn badly. Hell, you even got your plastic straws back in the Gulf of America to boot. So, are your lives better now? All that stuff that you were complaining about for the last 4 years, is any of it better? Is your life more affordable? Can you afford groceries, healthcare, childcare, new car, mortgage, rent, insurance? Any of that better? No? It's almost as if trans people weren't the reason your lives were so miserable. Some of you aren't ready to have that conversation yet. Take all the time you need with it.
I need for you to come front and center and please share this video, especially if you're a federal contractor. Clause 52.222-21 of the FAR being the Federal Acquisition Regulation, is titled prohibition of segregated facilities. And what this states is that the contract agrees that it does not and will not maintain or provide for its employees any segregated facilities at any of its establishments, and it does not and will not permit its employees to perform their services at any location under its control where segregated facilities are maintained. And segregated facilities mean like at work areas, restaurants, bathrooms, drinking fountains, transportation, housing. And you cannot segregate it based on race, color, religion, sexual orientation, gender identity, national origin as well. Now, this clause is removed from the FAR. This is a new change due to the Trump regime. So what this heinous government is saying is that this provision, this clause in the FAR will longer be considered when making award choices or enforce requirements. Now, I think this is very symbolic in nature from Trump's administration, who happens to be an inherently racist administration. And people that are Black and brown, I feel like I have to constantly say this, he does not like you. Clear, these contractors still have to follow federal and state laws, which include Civil Rights Act of 1964. But we already know Trump is actively trying to dismantle that law.
Is just another. I want to buy your house. I can pay you cash. Opioid. I'm a never Trump guy. I never liked him. There is definitely an element of Donald Trump support that has its basis in racism or xenophobia. Trump is a really bad candidate, and frankly, I think a really bad person. I agree with you on Trump because I don't think he actually cares about folks. I'm going to vote third party because I can't stomach Trump. I think that he's noxious and is leading the white working class to a very dark place.
You said I'm a never Trump guy, never terrible candidate, idiot if you voted for him, might be America's Hitler, might be a cynical a-hole, cultural heroine, noxious and reprehensible.
The next vice president of the United States, the current senator from Ohio, J.D. Vance, and his incredible wife, Usha.
It's time to speak up. They're rolling back segregation. They are rolling back segregation. It is now no longer illegal to require separate facilities for people of different races. It is no longer illegal to say, here's the white water fountain and here's the colored water fountain. To be clear, the Civil Rights Act of 1964 is still in place and has not been disbanded, but we know what their goal is. There is always step one in a process, and we absolutely know what their goal is. They are rolling back segregation.
Okay, anybody heard anything about that? Any comments?
Shalom. Yeah, I heard about it. I have a lot of thoughts on it, but I think one of the main things we need to think about, because it's been about 2 days since this came out, I think that we have to realize that he's losing on multiple fronts. You know, they're not really they're not covering it in the news, but these people are protesting. And the only thing that has worked for the Republicans, particularly the MAGA Republicans and Trump, is culture wars. And so right now he's feeding his people red meat, thinking that they're gonna jump all on that. That's gonna rile us up and make us mad. And then the white people gonna go around antagonize people saying we're going back. But what they didn't anticipate is that Black people would be openly receptive to that, because we never asked for integration. We asked for equality.
Right.
Integration served them and got rid of all of our businesses and you know, the stuff that we had that was separate. All of that gone away now. So now we're going to their grocery stores, we're going to their supermarkets, we're going to their malls. We never wanted that. We wanted
Right.
equality, but we thought, you know, okay, we'll try it. It ain't working. Shalom.
Somebody else got anything?
Shalom. Yeah, so it's like forcing Black Wall Street back up again. Because who wants to deal with the people who are going to be, like she says, it's okay now to have separate things again. Well, again, who's inventing all these items? What we're talking on today and how we're communicating. It wasn't from the other race. So it's a lot that they're thinking that it's okay to do all these things, but look how far they have come with the inventions of our people. That's something else I don't understand, why they're thinking that, do away with them and we're on top. It's not. They have taken a lot of things that we have invented, our forefathers have put in place, and they're not looking at that part of it, I don't think. Just like, who's gonna, well, I don't know. That's just my look on it. It's taking biting the hand that feeds you, giving you all this, you know, inventions and everything, and then you're going to turn around and do what you do. But again, it's all in design, as the Lord has placed in prophecy.
Okay, anybody else? Yeah, I was gonna say, based on what you said earlier, Tasha, that the judges, he was anticipating the Supreme Court to be on his side because of he put about 4 or 5 of them in there, but the Supreme Court turning against him. Okay, anybody else? Yeah, go ahead.
Shalom, I'm sorry. I just feel like they didn't, for as much as they crowed about 2025 and what he was going to do and all they're going to do, the execution of this so-called master plan or manifesto, it is poorly executed. It's poorly executed and it's very chaotic. I think that they felt like it would be easy to rile up the various groups in America, from this idea of an isolation mentality that we were in the 1800s. But we live in a global society now, and you're not going to be able to antagonize the home front in addition to be able to manage all these turf wars that you are doing around the world, and at the same time on the verge of war in the Middle East. You're just not going to be able to do all that. But I think that they have this mentality that we are who they think we are, but they're not who they think they are. And I don't think that is quite synced in yet.
Yeah, exactly. They forefathers disassembled the Tanak, and they took the Lord of hosts out of the scriptures and all that, and they actually believed that they actually done away with him, but they ain't done away with him.
Right.
You know what I mean? They think he gone because of when they brought JT on the scene and the way that he have impacted everybody. They are the assumption or they are delusional that the Lord of hosts don't exist no more. Okay.
Right. Right. And
Okay.
I think it's
Yeah.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, go. I wasn't going to say that. Go ahead.
I was just gonna say, I think it's also interesting how they constantly using the work was, we don't want any, we want to eliminate this woke mentality. At the same time, people are waking up. I mean, that's not lost on me that they want to keep everybody asleep. That's the message you're saying when you're saying you want to combat this and have an anti-woke agenda, in the midst of people waking up to the truth and of what's going on in the world and to our God. I just think that that's sort of like it's like a funny thing to hear that, but they're not talking about God the way we are, but they're talking about, trying to prevent people from being quote unquote woke.
Right. Exactly. Right. And but like the guy was saying yesterday, us waking up, they have to go back down because where we was at, where we was created at was at the top. So once we start waking up and discovering who we are and recalling the things that the past, then that means they have to go back to where they was at. That's why they got a problem with woke. Okay. You go example right here. This is some need to know information. Just example what I'm talking about as far as who we are and what we gave up.
Medieval Africans were using banks and checks centuries before Europe's financial revolution. that long before the first European banks were established, African merchants were issuing promissory notes, financing trade across vast regions, and storing wealth in organized financial institutions. It's a truth that mainstream history has largely ignored. But the records don't lie. Africa's economic systems were among the most sophisticated in the medieval world. In the 10th century, Africa wasn't just a land of kings and warriors. It was home to powerful financiers, international trade hubs, and advanced economic systems. From the gold-laden banks of Mali and Ghana to the bustling commercial centers of the Swahili coast, Africans developed financial mechanisms that allowed for complex, large-scale transactions. And here's the kicker. Written financial instruments, the ancestors of modern checks, were used by traders and scholars centuries before similar methods became common in Europe. Let's start with West Africa, where the great empires of Ghana.
Notice what he said. Keep this in mind. West Africa, right?
And Mali controlled vast wealth. The Kingdom of Ghana, rising to prominence by the 8th century, was one of the richest states in the medieval world. Al-Bakri, an 11th century Arab geographer, described the capital of Ghana as a place where gold was so abundant that the king's dogs wore gold collars and his horses had gold-adorned harnesses. But this wealth wasn't just hoarded. It was part of an advanced financial system. African traders and merchants operated through a credit-based economy, which allowed them to exchange goods and services using promissory notes rather than carrying large amounts of gold.
Okay, so right here, understanding this right here, this is why they attacked Wall Street, Black Wall Street. They knew we was capable of, and we was going back. We was going back to that. We was building back to that. And so they came in and disrupted it. They already knew our history.
Gold dust was the standard currency in many parts of the region. But rather than physically transporting it, merchants often left deposits with trusted financiers who issued written guarantees. These were essentially early checks, documents that could be exchanged for an equivalent value in another location. The Mali Empire, which absorbed Ghana and rose to dominate West Africa in the 13th century, perfected this system. Under the legendary Mansa Musa, who ruled in the early 1300s, Mali became the financial capital of Africa. Musa's...
So, like I said, you listening to this, and then the video I'm gonna play after this, I want you to check out how, like I said, what happened with Black Wall Street and what Trump doing right now. You got pretty much all of the Caribbeans on the travel ban, but I want you to listen to this right here, and then look at the countries in Africa that he got a ban on, so-called travel ban on.
Pilgrimage to Mecca in 1324 is famous for nearly crashing the economies of North Africa and the Middle East because he spent and donated so much gold. But Mali's wealth wasn't just in gold, it was in its banking and trade networks. Timbuktu, a city that would later become the intellectual and financial heart of West Africa, housed wealthy merchant families, scholars, and bankers who controlled regional and international trade. The Tarikh al-Fatash, a 17th century chronicle of West African history, describes how merchants in Timbuktu and Jenin stored wealth in financial institutions and conducted transactions through written contracts. Ibn Battuta, the 14th century Moroccan explorer, was astonished by Mali's economic structure, stating, "In this land, gold is more abundant than dust, and merchants exchange promissory notes with full confidence." Promissory notes were crucial for long-distance trade. The vast trans-Saharan trade network, which connected West Africa to North Africa, the Middle East, and even parts of Europe, was dangerous. Caravans traveled for weeks through harsh deserts, making it risky to carry large amounts of gold, or cowries, another form of currency. African traders solved this by using letters of credit, similar to modern banknotes. A merchant in Timbuktu could deposit his wealth with a trusted financier and receive a written document guaranteeing payment in another city, allowing for cashless transactions.
So when they say West Africa, the real name for West Africa is Negro land, right? And so we fled out of our homeland and to West Africa. So all this stuff they talking about right here is Israelites. That's Negro land. This is before the curses that were claimed in Deuteronomy 28 caught up with us. They caught up with us on the West Coast. Then brought us over here. But before that, this is what we was doing right here. This is where the Knights Templars got it from.
And this wasn't just happening in West Africa. On the Swahili coast, stretching from modern-day Kenya to Mozambique, African merchants engaged in a booming trade network that connected them to Arabia, Persia, India, and China.
Black Wall Street.
The Swahili cities of Kilwa, Mombasa, and Zanzibar were among the wealthiest trading hubs of the medieval world. Kilwa, in particular, had an advanced financial system. The city minted its own currency as early as the 11th century, something many European nations hadn't even done yet. Ibn Battuta, who visited Kilwa in the 14th century, noted that Swahili traders conducted business transactions through written agreements, much like their counterparts in West Africa. Portuguese records from the 16th century also describe how Swahili merchants could buy goods in distant lands using letters of credit rather than carrying physical money. Throughout the medieval period, Africa's banking institutions and credit systems thrived, demonstrating a financial sophistication that surpassed many of their European counterparts. While African states like Ghana, Mali, and Kilwa were minting coins, writing checks, and using credit, much of Europe was still bound to a feudal economy where barter was the norm and coinage was scarce. The use of promissory notes and credit systems among African merchants was particularly revolutionary. The historian Basil Davidson noted, Africa's merchants operated in networks that spanned thousands of miles, linking the savannas of West Africa with the Indian Ocean trade and beyond.
Okay, any comments on that? Okay, so with that being said, we're gonna open it up for some Q&A.
I just wanted to make a comment on that. It's like I said earlier about our forefathers having the inventions in the intelligence that has got us this far here as a whole all over the world. I want to just iterate that what you just played was what had happened when I was speaking on earlier.
Okay, we're gonna open it up for the Q&A. Anybody have any questions or comments about anything they came across from last night or during last week, or anything they come across they want to talk about? Got a question? Okay. Now, based off of what I just played, I'm gonna play this right here. This present day, and like I said, it's not coincidence that Trump is doing what he's doing. They are very familiar with our past. Okay, here we go.
As the Trump administration's feud with African nations intensifies, another policy is making headlines. The White House is considering a major expansion of travel restrictions, one that could affect.
It's no different than Black Wall Street. When the blacks start rising, then here they come. Same thing right here.
Affect millions across multiple continents, and Africa could be the hardest hit. Now, the proposed policy aims to tighten security and immigration controls, but it's already raising concerns about fairness and global relations. Which countries are on the list, and what could this mean for US-Africa ties? Our next report has all the details.
A new travel ban by the United States could soon take effect, one that would impact millions worldwide. The Trump administration is considering sweeping travel restrictions, and among the hardest hit regions is Africa, with 22 nations on the list. Reports indicate the US is weighing a major crackdown on travel from at least 41 countries, citing illegal immigration concerns and national security risks. If implemented, this policy could block or restrict visas for entire nations making it much harder for people to visit, work, or study in the United States. The proposed travel ban divides countries into three categories, each with different levels of restrictions. The first division is the red category. This means no visas and no entry into the United States at all. Libya, Somalia, and Sudan are on this list. Next comes the orange category. These countries face restrictions on tourist, student, and some immigrant visas, but with a few exceptions. Eritrea, South Sudan, and Sierra Leone are likely to be affected. The third one is the yellow category. These countries have 60 days to meet US security requirements or face stricter visa bans. Countries at risk include Burkina Faso, Cape Verde, Cameroon, Chad, Democratic Republic of the Congo, Equatorial Guinea, the Gambia, Liberia, Benin, Republic of Congo, Malawi, Mali, Mauritania, Sao Tome and Principe, and Zimbabwe.
Okay, all these countries right here was they just mentioned in our history when I just played Negro Land. Is that so? Okay.
The move memories first term travel ban, initially targeting 7 Muslim majority nations before facing legal challenges and ultimately being upheld by the US Supreme Court in 2018. On his first day back in office, Trump signed an executive order requiring intensified security vetting for foreign travelers. The order directs cabinet members to submit by March 21st a list of countries facing partial or full travel suspensions. Many of the countries targeted share common traits. They are majority Muslim or non-white and often struggle with economic instability or weak governance.
So, like I said before, it's no different than what they did when Oklahoma and what they're doing now. Because these African countries is connected to BRICS, and they rising because they're connected to BRICS. So they trying to come in and shut it down right as we speak. He bombing down in Somalia. He dropping bombs just like they drop bombs in Oklahoma. Okay. Anybody got any comments or questions on that before we go? Before we start reading out of the Genesis. Okay, everybody good?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so we're gonna start reading in Genesis. Last week we read chapters 1 through 5 in Genesis, and tonight we're gonna read chapter 6 through 10. I think Michelle, you're gonna read chapter 6.
Yes, sir. Genesis chapter 6. My title is Man's Wickedness. 6:1. And it came to pass when men began to multiply on the face of the earth, and daughters were born unto them, that the sons of God saw the daughters of men, that they were fair, and they took them wives of all which they chose. And the Lord said, My spirit shall not always strive with man, for that he also is flesh, yet his days shall be 120 years. There were giants in the earth in those days, and also after that, when the sons of God came in unto the daughters of men, and they bare children to them, the same mighty men, which were of old, men of renown. And God saw that the wickedness of man was great in the earth, and that every imagination of the thoughts of his heart was only evil continually. And it repented the Lord that he had made man on the earth, and it grieved him at his heart. Verse 7. And the Lord said, I will destroy man whom I have created from the face of the earth, both man and beast, and the creeping thing, and the fowls of the air, for it repenteth me. and that I have made them. But Noah found grace in the eyes of the Lord. These are the generations of Noah. Noah was a just man and perfect in his generation, and Noah walked with God. And Noah begot 3 sons, Shem, Ham, and Japheth. The Lord also was corrupt before the earth also was corrupt before God, and the earth was filled with violence. And God looked upon the earth, and behold, it was corrupt, for all flesh had corrupted his way upon the earth. And God said unto the end of all flesh is come before me, for the earth is filled with violence through them. And behold, I will destroy them with the earth. Verse 14. Make thee an ark of gopher wood. Rooms shalt thou make in the ark, and shall pitch it within with pitch. And this is the fashion which thou shalt make it of. The length of the ark shall be 300 cubits, the breadth of it 50 cubits, and the height of it 30 cubits. A window shalt thou make to the ark, and in a cubit shalt thou finish it above, and the door of the ark shalt thou set in the side thereof. With lower, second, and third stories shalt thou make of it. Verse 17. And behold, I, even I, do bring a flood of waters upon the earth to destroy all flesh, wherein is breath of life from under heaven, and everything that is in the earth shall die. But with thee will I establish my covenant, and thou shalt come into the ark, thou and thy sons and thy wife and thy sons' wives with thee. And of every living thing of all flesh, 2 of every sort shall thou bring into the ark to keep them alive with thee. They shall be male and female, of fowls after their kind, and of cattle after their kind, of every creeping thing of the earth after his kind. 2 of every sort shall come unto thee to keep them alive. Verse 21. And take thou unto thee of all food that is eaten, and thou shalt gather it to thee, and it shall be for food for thee and for them. Thus did Noah according to all that God commanded him. So did he. That was Genesis chapter 6, verses 1 through 22.
Okay, you got any comments on that? You ready?
Yes, sir, I do. And I have a question first, Brother Leonard. In 6 and 1, are those daughters that they're talking about? Is that the daughters out of 6 day?
No,
Where is it?
it's Cain daughters.
Oh, okay. Okay.
So like I was saying before, when you go back to Melchizedek,
Mm-hmm.
because they done screwed that all up. So who is it that Melchizedek was preaching to and turning to God? It was Ham descendants and Cain descendants.
Mm-hmm.
Remember in the book Adam and Eve where Adam descendants was at? They was up on the mountain, right?
On the mountain, yes, sir.
So Melchizedek, understand who that is, the title, he was giving those Cain descendants and Ham descendants the understanding of how the creator was. Like I said, the only people that was dealing with angels is Adam descendants. The other people wasn't dealing with Adam with the angels. So
Angels.
it's Adam. Remember, it says that let us make man our image.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So yeah, Adam was formed. They deal with Adam and Adam's descendants. We know the serpent. The Lord host told Cain, why your countenance fail? If you do good, then everything gonna be cool. If you don't, sin lies at the doors. Wickedness, those angels, the fallen angels, especially Lucifer, is standing right there to lead you off. And we know that he did because he taught him how to make swords and weapons and all that.
Yes,
Okay?
sir. And I just have a comment, Brother Leonard, on Genesis chapter 6. I was reading in the book of Jubilees, right? And
Right.
it gives us a little bit of information here in the KJV, but in the book of Jubilees in chapter 5, it goes a little bit more into detail about this story. And I know a lot of people say that they don't read the book of Enoch, Jasher, Jubilees, or whatever, but to me it shines more light on this story
Okay. So what's the light to shine?
where it talks about, let me get back over here in Jubilees chapter 5. It goes more into speaking about the giants, right, and how corrupt that the giants were and why the flood came about, right? So in it also spoke, you talk about this too, where it talked about the days and nights being separated. In
Right.
verse 25, it said, and the floodgates began to pour down water from the heaven 40 days and 40 nights. So as we read other books, and when you talk about these things, you get a better understanding from it. And also we can see, which is said in the KJV, also it spoke on the creation of things, right?
Right.
Um, let me get back over here. Uh, where it talked about verse 7 in the KJV, which we know is out of Genesis 1, right? And the Lord said, I will destroy man whom I have created from the face of the earth, both man and beast, and the creeping thing, and the fowl of the air, for it repented me that I have made them. So we know he says everything that he made was good.
Right. Okay. Yeah. So it's when you look at uh that chapter verse 7, and you go back to Genesis 1:26, the Lord of hosts is the one uh created man. His name, the Michael name is he who can create, right?
Yes, sir.
So he the one created it. He created the six man, right?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
So look what it says. Go up to verse 5. And God, Yahweh, saw the wickedness of man was great in the earth, and that every imagination of his thoughts and of his heart was only evil continuously. And then we go both of them right here. 6. And it repented the Lord. See that? Yahweh saw it, then it repented the Lord that he had made man on the earth, and it grieved him at his heart. Did 7. And the Lord, see that, not God, the Lord said, I will destroy man whom I have created from the face of the earth, both man and beast and creeping thing and the fowl of the air, for it repented me that I have made them. See that? Now Noah is from Adam, right?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
And so look what 8 say. Noah ain't from the 6th-day man. And Noah found grace in the Lord, not Adam's lineage. See that?
Yes, sir.
Okay, I just want to shine light on that. So anyway,
Yes.
you go back up to verse 3. You go to Genesis chapter 6, verse 3. The Lord said, my spirit shall not always strive with man, for that he also is flesh, yet his days shall be 120 years. So we see right here, reason he's saying his spirit is not in them giants. When the giants slept with the women, when the angels slept with the women, they got the giant, that spirit is in them is a mingled spirit that ain't come from him. That's why he's saying this right here. The Lord said, my spirit shall not always strive with man, for that he also is flesh, right? And then yet his days shall be 120 years. So anybody know why he changed it to 120 years? They was actually living 800 and 900 years before that. So why did he change it to 120 years?
The sin
Don't
from the
know that.
garden.
If you go to Jasher, you'll see that Noah Lamech, and Methuselah, Noah, and Lamech preached 120 years before the flood came, and not one person heard them. That's why he changed it right here, 120 years. Okay, so you want to go to Joshua and look at that. I can show it to you later on. Well, I'm not going to digress. So it says, 120 years. Methuselah, it wasn't just Methuselah. It just wasn't Noah that was preaching to them. It was Methuselah, Lamech, and Noah. Then when you're in Joshua, we know that he didn't want none of them to see the destruction that he gonna bring on the earth. So he took Methuselah and he took Lamech right before the flood. But remember, Methuselah was the oldest man, and then Noah had told him. Enoch had told him that the day that Methuselah died was the day the flood gonna come. That's what happened. But anyway, verses 4 says, and this is what I want to talk about. There were giants in the earth in those days, and also after that, when the sons of God came in to the daughters of men, and they bore children unto them, the same became mighty men, which were of old men of renown. So you got all these Bible scholars, a lot of Hebrew Israelites falling for it, that these sons of God was Sethians. Anybody ever heard of that?
Yes.
Yes, sir.
Self children. From self on down, them self children. They because Adam was the son of God. So they're saying that these men right here went into other women, and that's how you got that's what it was. They wasn't the sons of God wasn't angels, they was Sethians. But how that is debunked is you keep going, you keep reading. God, it says, and the sons of God came in into the daughters of men. Somebody got their mic open. It says, and it says, and they bore children to them, right? And the same became mighty men of old, which are men of renown. That's giants. So we don't see how is that possible. We got Adam descendants even today sleeping with women. You ain't getting no giants, so it don't add up. So I don't think make any sense. What you know is the truth is what Enoch tells us. Those angels came down, slept with the women. That's how you got giants. If they hadn't put the part in here where it says the bore children under them, the same became mighty men. We know what a mighty man is, a giant, which were of old men of renown. So it can't be self-children.
Right.
And why would self-children even have any giants? They didn't have that kind of stature. It came from the angels. That debunks that right there. Like I said before, when you understand when it says in verse 1, it came to pass when men began to multiply on the face of the earth, and the daughters were born unto them. These men right here, this is Cain descendants. When you understand who Cain is and how Cain came about, and then you got Ham descendants. And if you go, if you know anything about history, then you ain't got to do that. You can go to Genesis chapter 10, and you can see it's giants in Ham's lineage, and it's giants in Japheth and Japheth. You can just look back and see that. Okay,
and Brother Leonard,
go ahead.
Excuse me, sir. I was gonna say, when it talks about the sons, right, in Jubilees chapter 5, I mean, if you really need it simplified to you, right, it says, and they took themselves wives of all whom they chose, right, and they bore unto them sons, and they were giants. So, right, yes, sir. When you read out of the book of Jubilees, it just comes out and it tells you you don't have to guess at it. Like, and it says too, and lawlessness increased on the earth of all flesh, corrupted its way, alike men and cattle and beasts and birds and everything that walketh on the earth, all of them corrupted their ways and their orders, and they began to devour each other. And lawlessness increased on the earth, and every imagination of the thoughts of all men was thus evil continually.
Right, right. So like I was saying, you can that's the reason why they tell you they got Jasher and Enoch and Bane because it clarifies right here, this right here, the reason for it. But if you're not, you're not aware of what Enoch was told us and what was in the book of Jasher and all that, then this just is, you just riding it. Where all this come from? Where the giants come from? Where the wickedness come from? It wasn't there in the beginning. So it had to come from somewhere, and the book of Enoch especially explains where it came from. We had 200 wicked angels that came down and they crossbred with women and got giants. That's the only thing that explains it. So another thing to look at is verse 13. It says, God said to Noah, right? The man, he come out of Adam's lineage. You got to remember that. God said unto Noah, the end of all flesh had come before me, for the earth is filled with violence. That's what Enoch tells us. Because of these giants, because of the fallen angels, what they did, and how they gave these women all this knowledge that's what they're supposed to know. And behold, I will destroy them, right? I will destroy them or with the earth. Make thee an ark of gopher wood. Rooms shalt thou make in the ark, and shall pitch it within and without pitch. And this is the fashion when, okay, going down to 16, and the windows shalt thou make. Oh, okay, so then we get 17. And behold, I, even I, do bring the flood of waters upon the earth to destroy all flesh, wherein is the breath of life from under heaven, and everything that is in the earth everything that is in the earth shall die. But with thee, see that? You just said all flesh, right? Well, that means all flesh. But he stipulated in 18, but with thee will I establish my covenant, and thou shalt come in unto the ark, thou and thy sons and thy wife and thy sons' wives with thee. We know Ham ain't none of Noah's son, and we know Japhet ain't. So in 19 explained it. Of every living thing of all flesh, see that? All flesh, two of every sort, thou shalt bring into the ark to keep them alive with thee, that they shall be male and female. So you got Cain descendants. You got 6 day man. You had to get a man from there, man and a woman. You had to get a man and a woman from Japhet lineage. And then he had Shem, his son, and his wife, and Noah and his wife. That's who that is. They when they concocted JC, that's how they come up with this. Because they want you to think that all flesh, all flesh came from Adam, because they want you to think it's one blood. So they feel to be able to come and die on the cross because for one blood, all the blood came from Adam. But we know that's a lie. That's the purpose of this right here. And not only that, they hiding Cain's descendants. When they say Japhet is Ham's son, they hiding the wicked seed that the Most High called out in the very beginning in Genesis 1. Genesis 2. Anybody else got any comments on chapter 1, chapter 6?
No, sir.
Okay, somebody want to read chapter 7?
Yes, sir. I'll read chapter 7. And the Lord said unto Noah, Come thou and all thy house into the ark, for thee have I seen righteousness before me in this generation. Of every clean beast thou shalt take to thee by sevens, the male and his female, and the beasts that are not clean by two, the male and his female. Of fowls also of the air by sevens, the male and the female, to keep seed alive upon the face of the earth. For yet 7 days, and I will cause it to rain upon the earth 40 days and 40 nights. And every living substance that I have made will I destroy from all the face of the earth. And Noah did according unto all that the Lord commanded him. And Noah was 600 years old when the flood of waters was upon the earth. And Noah went in, and his son's wife, and his sons' wives with him into the ark, because of the waters of the flood, of clean beasts, and of beasts that are not clean, and of fowls, and of everything that creepeth upon the earth. There went in two and two unto Noah into the ark, the male and the female, as God had commanded Noah. And it came to pass after 7 days that the waters of the flood were upon the earth. In the 600th year of Noah's life, in the 2nd month, the 17th day of the month, the same day were all the fountains of the great deep broken up, and the windows of heaven were opened. And the rain was upon the earth 40 days and 40 nights. In the self same day entered Noah, and Shem, and Ham, and Japheth, the sons of Noah, and Noah's wife, and the 3 wives of his sons with them into the ark. They and every beast after his kind, and all the cattle after their kind, and every creeping thing that creepeth upon the earth after his kind, and every fowl after his kind, every bird after every sort. And they went in unto Noah into the ark, 2 and 2 of all flesh, wherein is the breath of life. Verse 16, and they that went in male and female of all flesh, as God had commanded him, and the Lord shut him in. And the flood was 40 days upon the earth, and the waters increased and bare up the ark, and it was lifted up above the earth. And the waters prevailed, and were increased greatly upon the earth, and the ark went upon the face of the waters, and the waters prevailed exceedingly upon the earth, and all the high hills that were under the whole heaven were covered. 15 cubits upward did the waters prevail, and the mountains were covered. And all flesh died that moved upon the earth, both of fowl, and of cattle, and of beasts, and of every creeping thing that creepeth upon the earth, and every man. All in whose nostrils was the breath of life, and all that was in the dry land died. And every living substance was destroyed, which was upon the face of the ground, both man and cattle, and the creeping things, and the fowl of the heaven, and they were destroyed from the earth. And Noah only remained alive, and they that were with him in the ark. And the waters prevailed upon the earth in 150 days.
Okay. Got any comments off that?
I noticed the sevens were a number that the Lord of hosts worked with. And if you go back in Jubilee chapter 7, it says, verse 1, and in the 7th week, in the 1st year thereof, in this Jubilee, Noah planted vines on the mountains of which the ark had rested, named Labar, one of the Arite mountains, and they produced fruit in the 4th year, and guarded their fruit, and gathered it in the year of the 7th month. That just stood out to me with the 7.
Okay.
Shalom.
Okay, so I was going to look at chapter 7, verse 1. It says the Lord, notice the Lord, not Yahweh. The Lord said unto Noah, come thou and all thy house into that ark, for I have seen righteousness before me in the generation. Then this is the point I wanted to make. Verse 2, every clean beast thou shalt take unto thee by sevens, male and female, and of the beasts that are not clean by 2, male and female. So if you go back to Genesis chapter 1, chapter 2, like I was saying, and you'll look at it and you'll see, like I was saying, chapter 3. Let me see if it's chapter 3. Yeah, chapter 3 says, chapter 2, verse 18. Chapter 2, verse 18. The Lord God said, "It is not good that man should be alone. I will make him a helpmeet for him." So you would think that this is Eve, right? Like I said, but 19, out of the ground, the Lord God formed every beast of the field, every fowl of the air, and brought them unto Adam to see what he would name us. These are clean animals. These are domestic animals that, that help the man, like the oxen and all that. These clean animals. So he made some animals over in Genesis 26. That's the animal, that's like I said, unclean animals. Right here, these clean animals. So when you go back to chapter 7, it says, "Of every clean beast, thou shalt take unto thee for 7." That's the ones he formed out of the ground, just like he took Adam out of the ground. Same ones that all the way when you get to the temple. Those are the ones that's being used in the temple. That showed you the other day, Leviticus. Those are clean animals. So he says in chapter 7 and 4, for yet 7 days, and I will cause it to rain upon the earth 40 days and 40 nights. Every living substance that I have made will I destroy from off the earth. So what do you mean by yet 7 days? Anybody know?
No, sir.
So what happened in the creation story? How many days was that?
Yep, yes, sir, 7.
So he told Noah to go and do that with the animals, and then verse 4, and yet 7 days, 6 days, and a Shabbat. That's how long it took Noah to do what he commanded him. It took him 6 days and a Shabbat. And like I said, on the 8th day, just like when he formed Adam on the 8th day, and right here, the flood waters came. He kept 6 days and a Shabbat, then the flood came on the 8th day. So it's not something I didn't concoct in my head the 8th day. Right here, we see it. We saw that Abraham got circumcised, him and his sons, on the 8th day. It's because of this. So yet 7 days, right? And I will cause the rain to come on the 8th. That's the 8th day. We're gonna keep like I said, 6 days on Shabbat, then the rain came. It says in verse 5, and Noah did according to all that the Lord commanded him, and Noah was 600. So another thing, notice who commanded Noah. Notice who voice Noah listened to, the Lord of hosts. So when Yahweh on Mount Sinai told the Israelites, I'm giving you this angel, listen to him, it ain't nothing new. Right here, Noah doing the same thing. Okay, 7. And Noah went in, and his sons and his wives, and then it says, and of the clean animals and of the beasts that were not clean. So you see right here that he did just according to what happened, the creation. When you understand what's going on, you got animals that was created on the 6th day. Then you had animals that Lord formed and brought them to Adam. Adam called them, gave them names, right? So anyway, it says, and the flood was 40 days. This is verse 17. The flood was 40 days and 40 nights upon the earth, and the waters increased and bore the ark, and it was lifted up above the earth. Okay, 19, and the waters prevailed exceedingly upon the earth, and all the hills, all the high hills, and the water was under the whole heavens were covered. 15 cubits upward, the waters prevailed, and the mountains were covered, and all flesh, right here, see this? All flesh died that moved upon the earth, but both fowl, cattle, beasts, and every creeping thing that creepeth upon the earth. So when you look at that, go back to, like I said, chapter 6. That's when he did creeping things and all that. But anyway, my point is all flesh. So it's all flesh right here. So what is all flesh over in Genesis chapter 6? That Michelle read earlier. The same thing. So who was on earth? You had a 6-day man. You had the Adam and his descendants, and you had Cain and his descendants. So he told him to get a male and a female of all flesh. So the same thing right here, all flesh. All the Cain's descendants died. All of the 6 day men died, but he got a male and a female from each one of them, and they got on the ark. They ain't none of his sons. They tricked it off. Okay.
Yes, sir.
So anybody got any comments before we go to and like I said, even 22, all in whose nostrils were the breath of life, and all who was on the dry land. Cain on the dry land, the 6 day man on the dry land. He said all flesh. Okay, all flesh is all flesh. So we at chapter 8. Somebody want to read that?
Shalom, I'll read it.
Okay.
The waters recede, and God remembered Noah and every living thing and all the cattle that was with him in the ark. And God made a wind to pass over the earth, and the waters Ashwad. The fountains also of the deep and the windows of heaven were stopped, and the rain from heaven was restrained, and the waters returned off from the earth continually. And after the end of the 150th and the 150 days, and the waters were abated. The ark, the ark rest on. How do you pronounce that? Adrat.
Yeah.
Okay, and
Iraq.
Iraq. And the ark rested in the 7th month on the 17th day of the month upon the mountains of Arad. And the waters decreased continually until the 10th month, and the 10th month on the first day of the month were the tops of the mountains seen. A raven and a dove sent forth, and it came to pass at the end of the 40th day that Noah opened the window of the ark which he had made. And he sent forth a raven which went forth to and fro until the waters were dried up from off the earth. And also he sent forth a dove from him to see if the waters were abated from off the face of the ground. And the dove found no rest for the sole of his feet, of her feet, and she returned unto him into the ark, for the waters were on the face of the earth. Then he put forth his hand and took her and pulled her in unto him into the ark. And he stayed yet another 7 days, and again he sent forth the dove out of the ark. And the dove came in to him in the evening, and lo, in her mouth was an olive leaf plucked off. So Noah knew that the waters were abated from off the earth. And he stayed yet another 7 days, and he sent forth the dove, which returned not again unto him any more. And it came to pass in the 600th and first year, in the first month, in the first day of the month, and the waters was dried up from off the earth, and Noah removed the covering of the ark, and looked, and behold, the face of the ground was dry. And in the 2nd month, on the 7th and 20th day of the month, was the earth dried, leaving the ark. And God spake unto Noah, saying, Go forth of the ark, thou and they thou and they wives and thou and thy wives and thy sons' wives with thee. Bring forth with them every living thing that is with thee of all flesh, both the fowl of cattle and of every creeping thing that creepeth upon the earth, that they may breed abundantly in the earth and be fruitful and multiply upon the earth. And Noah went forth. Hold on. And Noah went forth, and his sons and his wives and his sons' wives with him. Every beast, every creeping thing, every fowl, and whatsoever creepeth upon the earth, after their kinds, went forth out of the ark. Noah sacrificed in God's promise. And Noah built an altar unto the Lord, and took of every clean beast and of every clean fowl, and offered burnt offering on the altar. And the Lord smelled a sweet savor. And the Lord said in his heart, I will not again curse the ground any more for man's sake, and for the imagination of man's heart is evil from his youth. Neither will I again smite any more everything living as I have done. While the earth remaineth, seed time and harvest, and cold and heat, and summer and winter, and day and night shall not cease.
Okay, you got any comments?
No, not really. I think what's interesting as I reread this, because we've read this story 1,000 times since youth, and so it's just interesting now to see how things stand out. Like I think it was um someone just said about the numbers. I think it's very interesting how God is very specific about his timeline and his dates, and how things kind of failed. If you kind of can elaborate on why that was so precise like that, I appreciate it.
Oh yeah, yeah. Those numbers. I mean, just like the animals, the clean animals. Those are numbers that he deal with. 7, 12, 70. Those are numbers he deal with. Those are, you can say holy. They're anointed. That's how he deal with them. Multiples. He deal with 3, 7, 12, and the multiples of that. And that's one of the things when he says that I've gathered is that when he says follow his path, Lord's path. Like one of them is we know that he's the one that was on the water. When we see all through the scriptures, he the one on the water, the Lord of hosts, it's not Yahweh. And then we see another way to track him is that he turns our enemies in against each other. And we're looking at that right now today. That's one of the reasons we know he's back. And then, like I said, we see how he can operate with these numbers. That's another way of tracking. Okay. So in verse 20 of chapter 8, it says, Noah built an altar. Notice what, like I was saying, people look over this, but it's precise. Once you get the revelation on it, Noah built an altar unto the Lord. See that? Not the Yahweh. He built an altar unto the Lord. Took every clean beast and every clean fowl and offered burnt offerings on the altar. So what is he doing? Exact same thing Abraham did in Genesis chapter 15. The same thing Abraham did. Abraham was just doing what Noah did. Right? 21. And the Lord, see that? The Lord smelled a sweet savor. Same way I showed you in the church. He smelled a sweet savor. And the Lord said in his heart, I will not again curse the ground anymore for man's sake. So what are you talking about? He cursed the ground with Adam and Eve. When he cursed Adam and Eve, he cursed the ground. Then he just caused a flood. And everything on dry land, on the ground, he got killed. So he says right here, the Lord smelled the sweet savor, and the Lord said in his heart, I will not again curse the ground anymore for man's sake. For the imagination of man's heart is evil from his youth. Neither will I again smite any more everything living as I have done. And while the earth remaineth, seed time and harvest, cold, uh, cold and heat, summer and winter, and day and night shall not cease. That's what we at. We see day coming, night, all this coming. When that stops, we know it's in. Okay. Anybody else got any comments? Questions?
Shalom, sir. I'll just piggyback off what you just said in Jubilees chapter 6 and verse 15. I'll start at 14. He says, and for this law there is no limit of days, for it is forever. They will observe it throughout their generations, so they may continue supplicating on your behalf with blood before the altar. Every day and at the time of morning and evening, they will seek forgiveness on your behalf perpetually before the Lord, that they may keep it and not be rooted out. 15. And he gave a sign to Noah and his sons that there should not be a flood on the whole earth again. He set his bow in the cloud for a sign of perpetual covenant, that there should not again be a flood on the earth to destroy it all the days of the earth. For this reason, it is ordained and written on the heavenly tablet that they should celebrate the celebration of weeks in this month once a year, to renew the covenant every year.
Okay.
Shalom.
Anybody else? Yeah. So we also saw that the lie they told us about JC was that all this stuff is happening, everything they're doing in the temple, and everything up until that, to the point when JC came, was a shadow of him. But we notice in the book of I think it's Jasher, if I'm not mistaken, it may be in Jubilees, but they brought out the point that everything, the Feast of Weeks, all that stuff in the that they do in the temple when they built the temple, and when they built the tabernacle in the temple, it reflected back to Noah. Now, what happened to Noah? Not, it had nothing to do with JC. Everything you read about in Leviticus that's tied to the temple and all that is tied to Noah. I'll find it and I'll read it. If somebody asks me tomorrow, I'll read it. So, but it's all tied to Noah. Feast of Weeks and all that stuff tied to Noah. Okay. Somebody want to read chapter 9?
I will, sir. Oh, go ahead, Sister Nidra.
Okay. Chapter 9. And God blessed Noah and his sons and said unto them, Be fruitful and multiply and replenish the earth. And the fear of you and the dread of you shall be upon every beast of the earth, and upon every fowl of the air, upon all that moveth upon the earth, and upon all the fishes of the sea. Into your hand are they delivered. Every moving thing that liveth shall be meat for you, even as the green herb have I given you all things. But flesh with the life thereof, which is the blood thereof, shall you not eat. And surely your blood of your lives will I require, at the hand of every beast will I require it, and at the hand of man, at the hand of every man's brother will I require the life of man. Whoso sheddeth man's blood, by man shall his blood be shed, for in the image of God made he man. For you, be fruitful and multiply, bring forth abundantly in the earth, and multiply therein. And God spake unto Noah and to his sons with him, saying, And I, behold, I establish my covenant with you and with your seed after you, and with every living creature that is with you, of the fowl, of the cattle, and of every beast of the earth with you, from all that go out of the ark to every beast of the earth. And I will establish my covenant with you. Neither shall all flesh be cut off any more by the waters of a flood. Neither shall there be any more of a flood to destroy the earth. And God said, This is the token of the covenant which I make between me and you and every living creature that is with you for perpetual generations. I do set my bow in the cloud, and it shall be for a token of a covenant between me and the earth. And it shall come to pass, when I bring a cloud over the earth, that the bow shall be seen in the cloud. And I will remember my covenant, which is between me and you and every living creature of all flesh. And the water shall no more become a flood to destroy all flesh. And the bow shall be in the cloud, and I will look upon it, that I may remember the everlasting covenant between God and every living creature of all flesh that is upon the earth. And God said unto Noah, This is the token of the covenant which I have established between me and all flesh that is upon the earth. And the sons of Noah that went forth of the ark were Shem, Ham, and Japheth. And Ham is the father of Canaan. These are the three sons of Noah, and of them as the whole earth overspread. And Noah began to be a husbandman, and he planted a vineyard. And he drank of the wine and was drunken, and he was uncovered within his tent. And Ham, the father of Canaan, saw the nakedness of his father, and told his two brethren without. And Shem and Japheth took a garment and laid it upon both their shoulders, and went backward, and covered the nakedness of their father, and their faces were backwards, and they saw not their father's nakedness. And Noah awoke from his wine, and knew what his younger son had done unto him. And he said, Cursed be Canaan, a servant of servants shall he be unto his brethren. And he said, Blessed be the Lord God of Shem, and Canaan shall be his servant. God shall enlarge Japheth, and he shall dwell in the tents of Shem, and Canaan shall be his servant. And Noah lived after the flood 350 years. And all of the days of Noah were 950 years, and he died. Shalom.
Okay, you got any comments?
No, sir.
Okay. Yeah, so verse chapter 9, I want to go ahead and deal with the last part of it first. So it says, notice how they set this up. You can see it's the dead calendar line. It says in 9 and 18, and the sons of Noah that went forth from the ark were Shem, right? Ham, Japheth. Ham is the father of Canaan. So what's that? What's up with that? Was Canaan on the boat?
No.
So look at that. I want to see, check it out. Just look at it, front of me. And Ham, the father of Canaan, what's that about? These are the three sons of Noah, and of them was the whole earth overspread. So it just says it right here. It says Ham. It says Shem, Ham, Japheth, and Ham, son of Cain. So it's four of them. But then it go back to 19. These are the three sons. See that? But anyway, keep going. Noah began to be a husbandman, and he planted a vineyard. He drank the wine and was drunken, and was uncovered within his tent. And Ham, here you go again. Ham, the father of Canaan. See that? Ham, the father of Canaan, saw the nakedness of his father, and told his two brothers without. And Shem and Japheth took garments and laid it upon their shoulders, and went backwards, and covered not the nakedness, and he covered the nakedness of their father, and their faces were backwards, and they saw not the nakedness of their father. We know that that's Noah's wife. She laying there naked. That's why they walking backwards. A man's nakedness is his wife. So anyway, keep going. 24. Noah awoke from his, watch this. Now we didn't see where he didn't say it 3 times. They put the emphasis, Ham is the father of Canaan. Now look at this. And Noah awoke from his wine, and knew what his younger son had done unto him. And he said, Cursed be Canaan. See that? Cursed be Canaan, a servant of servants shall he be unto his brethren. So where Canaan come from? Get that primate. And he said, Blessed be the Lord of Shem, and Canaan shall be your servant. All of a sudden, Canaan is the emphasis. But let me show you something right quick. Then we'll go read the last chapter. It says, Noah woke from his wine because like I said, Shem, Canaan is the product. It's in Noah's white belly because his wife was raped. Right? So it says, and he said, Cursed be Canaan. So he cursed the seed, just like the Lord did when he was talking to Eve. He said, 2 seeds in your belly. One of them from the serpent and one of them from Adam. Same thing right here. When Noah woke up, he knew that what had happened to his wife and the seed. She had a seed. And he said, Cursed be Canaan. Verse 25. The servant of servants shall he be unto his brethren. And he said, Blessed be the Lord God of, check this out. Blessed be the Lord God of Shem. See that? Blessed be the Lord God of Shem. And Canaan shall be his servant, right? Let's look at it right quick. Like I said, it don't add up. Let me read it right. So go to Genesis 15 right quick. We're getting ahead of ourselves, but I just want to show you this. So you in Genesis 15?
Yes.
So this is the prophecy. I told you this is not 400-year prophecy. This is when they went to Egypt. So it says, verse 17, and it came to pass that when the sun went down, this is Abraham made the covenant with the Lord, and it was dark, and behold, a smoking furnace and a burning lamp that passed between the pieces. And in the same day, the Lord made a covenant with Abraham. See that? He made a covenant with Abraham. Abraham is out of Shem, saying, unto thy seed have I given this land from the river of Egypt unto the great river, the river of the river Euphrates. Now here you go. The Canaanites, yeah, the Kizzites, the Kodites, the Hittites, and the Perizzites, and the Rephaim, and the Amorites, and the Canaanites, and the Girgashites. So all these, Abraham was given the land of Canaan, and all these 7 nations, these Canaanites. That's what this is over here. We just read. And he says, when Noah woke, he saw what he had done. And he said, cursed be Canaan, a servant of servants shall he be unto his brethren. And he said, blessed be the Lord God of Shem. That's where Abraham came from. And Canaan shall be his servant. It got fulfilled right there what I just read. When Abraham received the land of Canaan and the 7 nations that came from Canaan. Canaan descendants became his servants. Okay, let that front make. Says that God said, God shall enlarge your fat, and he shall dwell in the tents of Shem, and Canaan shall be his servant. And the Lord and Noah lived after the flood 350 years, and all the days of Noah were 950 years old. He died. Anybody got comments on that? What I just said? Questions?
Shalom. Go ahead,
Go
Mom.
ahead. Okay. So when you say that Noah said curse Shem or Ham, the father of Canaan. So when he saw the nakedness, so was he saying when he should not have come into the tent to see that? And
No.
in so many
We are talked about this in other videos, but Japhat is the one raped her. Because when you go and look at what happened before the flood in the book of Adam and Eve, we saw what Cain's descendants was doing. They would go into a man's house, rape his children in front of him, rape his wife, rape him, and rape his son and everybody else. That's what they was doing. And when you understand who Japhat is, he told him to get a male and a female from all flesh. He had to get a male and a female from Japhat lineage, from Cain lineage, which is Japhat. That's who Japhat is. When the water receded and they got off the boat, Japhat picked up what he was doing before the flood. He raped Noah's wife. So when Noah woke up, he saw what Japhat had done. They put it off on Canaan. You got to go back and look what these people done. They say that the reason why they put us in slavery was because of Ham. That's discombobulated. That's twisted all up. So the same thing right here. Japhat the one raped her. And then so when Noah woke up and he saw what Japhat had done, is a seed that came out of it. That's why all of a sudden Canaan popping up in the story. So he says, "Cursed be Canaan." What's in the womb? Cursed be Canaan. And then we see later on in Genesis 15, when the Israelites went into captivity in Babylon, in Egypt, they came out of Egypt. It's Canaanites in the land of Egypt, land of Israel. And the Lord of hosts gave the land of Canaan to Abraham, and all the Canaanites became servants of Abraham. That's what being fulfilled, what Noah said.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Right. Okay. Anybody else?
Shalom. So is the verse that says God shall enlarge Japhet, that's just like a plug-in saying, like to try to throw the story off? Because
Well, you know about the people that's in the land of Israel right now, right?
mm-hmm.
Are they Israelites?
No.
Where they come from? Japhet. So
Right.
so Japhet is dwelling in the land of Israel right to this day. That's the whole problem today. That's where we at.
So that's why it's
That scripture
dwelling.
right there is why we throwed off.
Okay.
The world throwed off. Japhet is right now dwelling in the tents of Shia.
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Right. Anybody else?
That was one of my questions I was going to ask Brother Leonard, but the next one was verse 21, right? Where it says, and he drank of the wine and was drunken, and he was uncovered within his tent. But then when I read back in Genesis chapter 6, it says, but Noah found grace in the eyes of the Lord. These are the generations of Noah. Noah was a just man and perfect in his generation, and Noah walked with God. So that's again like we discussed last night when you were talking about Jacob. Jacob, they try to make it seem like he deceived Esau, and here we see that they're trying to make it seem as though Noah was a drunk.
Right. And like I said, how you right divide that? Don't all through the scriptures, the Lord said that he went out his way to get Israel wine.
Yes.
He blessed them with wine for the drinking. We saw the story with Boaz. When Boaz drank the wine and his spirit was raised, rejoicing. And then we saw what David did when he brought the ark in. Said David had a flagon of wine. He had a flagon of wine. We know how big a flagon is.
Right.
So all Noah doing is that's what they do. When he got off of there, like I said, just like the Israelites or the Israelites connected to at the hip with the ram, he connected at the hip with the wine. It's a gift. It's a blessing. It ain't nothing wicked about it. So what? And like I said, how you rightly divide it? Boaz was on the threshing floor. We got a buzz from the wine. He did. Rolled up and went to sleep, didn't he?
Yes, sir.
Noah did the same thing. But when he woke, Jephthah had to rape his wife. They just twisted it all up and said he was drunken within his tent. Now he wicked. But all he did was like the rest of them did. The wine raised their spirit. It's no different than when I was telling you about what Daniel did. When Daniel saw that it was 69 years, close to 70 years, and he saw that Nebuchadnezzar and his sons had died. Cyrus was in charge. So he stopped eating. Did what? Raise his spirit. He stopped eating and fasted, raise his spirit. Well, there's another way to raise his spirit through the wine. Okay. Ain't that something?
Brother Leonard. Yes, sir. I have one more thing. I'm not sure if this is what you were looking for when you were talking about the feast, which is in the book of Jubilees, right? Let me see what chapter this is. I'm not Jubilees. I'm not sure. Chapter 6. Just verse 27. And on the new moon of the 10th month, the tops of the mountains were seen, and Noah was glad. Verse 28, and on this account he ordained them for himself as feasts for a memorial forever, and thus are they ordained.
Right. So that's the feast, the same feast that's tied to the temple when they was keep and the holy days. It all go back to what happened with Noah and the flood. It ain't got nothing to do with it. It's not pointing toward JC. It's pointing toward what happened with Noah and the flood. What chapter was that?
Jubilees chapter 6, and I
Yeah, you
started at
start
verse
reading.
27.
If you start reading it, the first of chapter 6, all the way through, it's going to tell you, it's going to lay out everything what happened, and then tied to what happened, what they doing, why they do it in the temple.
Yes,
And
sir.
they built the temple. It's all tied to Noah. Okay, yeah. So in chapter 10, I'll read that. I'll read chapter 10. Okay, it says, okay, it says, the descendants of the sons of Noah. Now these are the generations of the sons of Noah: Shem, Ham, and Japheth. And unto them were the sons born after the flood. This right here, what I was trying to show you right here, that it's not none of Noah's sons. It says, the sons of Japheth, Gomer, Magog, Midian, Javan, Tubal, Meshach, and Tyrus. And when you go back in the scriptures, Tubal has come out of Cain's lineage. Ain't nobody gonna name their son no Tubal. So unless that's word etymology, that's tracing the lineage. He told him to get a male and a female from all flesh. Well, here go Cain lineage right here. And so another example of that is, if you look at those names, it says the sons of Japheth, Gomer. That's the Europeans, Gomer, right? They wicked. They all wicked. Magog, Midian, Javan. That's the Greeks. They wicked. Then Meshach and Tyrus. Now go to right quick to Ezekiel 38. Right quick. Ezekiel 38, and it says in verse 1, and the word of the Lord, same Lord that was back there with Noah, the word of the Lord came to me, saying, Son of man, set thy face against Gog, the land of Magog, chief prince of Meshach, Tubal, and prophesy against them. Then you go back to chapter 10. There they go. Sons of Japhet, Gomer, Magog, Midian, Javan, Tubal, Meshach, they wicked. He against them. How is it their son? How is Noah's son? It ain't none of his son. Because all through the scriptures, he against these people. And then, like I said, when they went to Egypt, and he killed the firstborn of the Ham, he says, I'm letting you know that I'm making a difference between the Israelite and the Egyptian. So how they kinfolks? They ain't no kinfolks. So anyway, verse 4 says, the sons of Javan, Elizabeth, Tarsus, Kitchem, Dedan, by these were the isles of the Gentiles divided in their lands, everyone after this tongue, after the families in their nations. So they not no brothers. And then you go to verse 4, the sons of Javan, Elisha, Tarsus, Kitchem, that's the Romans. How that's our brother? This the four beasts. Look what they doing. We ain't no kin. The Kitchem is out of Japhet lineage, out of Cain lineage. It's the four beasts. Okay. Anyway, verse 6. The sons of Ham, Cush, Mizraim, Put, and Canaan. And the sons of Cush, Seba, Havilah, Seba, Rimlah. So like I was saying before, we don't really been paying attention to it, but shining a light on it now. Look at these names. These ain't no Israelite names. So how they kinfolk? You know, this ain't, and then you got verse 6. The sons of Ham, Cush, Mizraim, them giants. We already know where the giants come from. Then 7, the sons of Cush, Seba, Havilah. Well, these ain't no Hivites. These ain't no people. This lineage ain't, but just the word etymology. They ain't no Israel. They ain't not no kin to Shem. Cush begot Nimrod. He began to be a mighty man, a mighty one in the earth. He was a mighty hunter before the Lord. Wherefore it is said, even as the Lord, as Nimrod, the mighty hunter before the Lord. And the beginning of his kingdom was Babel, Iraq, Akkad, Canaan, and the land of Shinar. That we know what happened at Shinar. These ain't no children of Shem or Noah, or they ain't. And resident between Nineveh and Caleb, the same as that great city. And then I showed you in verse 1:6 that Nazarene is a giant. So then you get to 13 all the way to 20, them giants. Matter of fact, they're the same people that Abraham inherited. They came from Canaan. Read, I'm not going to read out verse 15. Canaan begot Zidon, his firstborn. So this Zidon and Heth and the Jebusites, these people that's in Genesis 15. The Jebusites, the Amorites, the Gershites, the Hivites, the Archites. These are 7 nations they was given to Abraham. Canaan became servant to Shem's seed. Here it is right here. There ain't no kin. It's a lie from the pits of hell. 21. Unto Shem also the father of all the children of Eber, the brother of Japhet, the elder, even him, to him were children born. The children of Shem, here you go. The children of Shem, Elam, Asher, Arphaxad, Lud, Aram, and the children of Aram, Uz, and Hul, and Gether, and Mash, and Arphaxad begot Selah, and Selah begot Eber, and unto Eber were born 2 men, 2 sons, and the name of one was Peleg, for in his days was the earth divided and Joktan. So when they say the earth was divided, this is when the earth was divided by those 70 angels. And the Lord of hosts received Mount Zion in that area, that region, right? And Joktan begot Adad, I can't say these names, 29, and Ophir and Havilah and Jobadad, and all these were the sons of Joktan. And their dwelling was from Mesh as goes down unto Sephor, a mount of the east. These are the sons of Shem, after their families, after their tongues, in their lands, after their nations. These are the families of the sons of Noah, after their generations, in their nations. And by these were the nations divided in the earth after the flood. Okay. Any comments or questions? 1 minute. Okay. Anybody got any questions or comments?
Shalom. Again, as you've always iterated the research and the study in the different books, excuse me, because if you don't, you can very well think that Noah had these sons, but then when you go through connecting dots as you do, you can see that they're not of Noah. These are of Canaan. These other sons and the sons that begot from those sons to continue to create the habit that is here on earth. Thank you. That was really good.
Okay. Yeah, so I was going to answer this question. It says, any significance to Ibrahim Tory rejecting the 200 mosques to be built in Burkina Faso from Saudi Arabia? Yeah, I think it's a significance to it. I think he's the spirit that's on Ibrahim Tory. You're not dealing with that. Like I said, you can go back to that same region, like I was telling you about Negro land, the Arabs, the Arab slave trade. It got a history. A lot of us on this side of the world don't know nothing about, but those people familiar with it. Okay. Okay. Somebody got a scripture they want to bring out, break it down before we go.
Shalom.
Yes, sir. Go ahead.
I mean, go ahead. Go ahead, Michelle.
Yeah, go ahead, Michelle.
No, sir, she can go ahead.
Shalom. Numbers 21 and number 5. And the people spoke against God and against Moses. Wherefore have ye brought us out of Egypt to die in the wilderness? There is no bread, neither is there any water, and our souls loathe this light bread. Um, can you break down that one in 5? Verse 5 in chapter 21 of Numbers.
Can you read that again?
Yes, sir. And the people spoke against God and against Moses. Wherefore have ye brought us out of Egypt to die in the wilderness? For there is no bread, neither is there any water, and our soul loath this light bread. What is the light bread? Shalom.
I think they, when they left Egypt, I think they fled in haste, and they didn't have enough bread, and then the water is what caused Moses not to go into the promised land when he struck the rock and the water came out. So they ran out of provisions, and they didn't have no water. So
Okay, yes,
right.
sir. I just didn't know the light bread was the significance of the bread was light, or they were light in, like you explained it, they rushed out and didn't get enough.
Right. Well, yeah. Then it could be they didn't have no leaven. It wasn't leaven. It wasn't leaven.
Yeah, okay, that's what I was thinking. It wasn't leavened. Yes, sir.
Okay. You got a scripture, Michelle? We can break that one down. Did you have a
No, sir,
scripture?
I'm good. I'll save it for another day. Thank you.
Okay. Anybody else got anything before we go?
Shalom. Did the verse that was just read, that Joyce read, is another part of that when you said that they left in haste, where they were going wasn't really all that far. But because of what they did while Moses was on the mountain getting the 10 Commandments, and he came down, and that's when God said that those people were not going to enter. Do you think that may have any significance too? Why they ran out of food and stuff?
Yeah. Well, like I was saying, when they left Egypt that night, it was in the middle of the night, and they put the blood on the doorpost, and he told them to stay there, don't leave their dwellings, and smite the Egyptians. Came back. The Pharaoh called Moses and Aaron in the middle of the night, told them to leave right now. So they left in haste. So I don't think they had enough provision. They ran out of provision. And then once they ran out of provisions, that's when they started wanting to go back to Egypt
Start
because they didn't
grumbling.
have any provision.
Mm-hmm.
And then they had ran out of water, and they had they had their flocks and their herds with them, and the flocks and the herds needed water, and they didn't have no water. So they
But where
started.
they go ahead, babe.
Now go ahead.
I was gonna say, but I always understood that where they was going wasn't really that far. It should have been a couple of days' journey. But because of their sin, he made them wander for 40 days. I mean, for 40 years. Is
Yeah,
that true?
yeah, that's true. But it's when they left Egypt, the thing was told Moses and Aaron was to tell the Pharaoh that they just wanted to go out in the wilderness for 3 days journey and sacrifice to their Lord.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that's right. I'm sorry. Thank
So
you.
then and then after he did what he did to them, he told them to get out of there and go. So the Lord led them all the way on out. They ended up wandering in the wilderness because of what they did when they got to the borders of Israel, and the 10 spies told them it was giants there, and then they didn't trust in the Lord to destroy the giants. So he sent them around in a circle out in the wilderness for 40 years. It was their disbelief, the reason why they ended up wondering. After all that they had seen in Egypt. Right. Okay, anybody else got anything? Okay, so with that being said, I'm gonna say shalom to everybody. I see we got a women's line tomorrow for Women's Advanced Bible Study. Men can come in through the YouTube. I see y'all tomorrow. Shalom, shalom, and another shalom.
Shalom, everyone.
Shalom.
Shalom, shalom, everyone.
I highly recommend that you get this book and you read it because it's a must that you understand who God head is in the order that's in the Old Testament in Tanak, because it's not the same as in the New Testament. And when you read this and you get an understanding, then the scriptures open up and then you begin to understand. So I highly recommend that you get this book. It's the Elohim of Israel, and it's a breakdown on the word Elohim and who the God of Israel is and the Godhead.